Well, hello there. It's so nice that you're back with us. This is the football podcast from WePlayStrong. It's time to talk about maybe the most debated topic in women's football, equality. When the topic equal pay is raised, it often leads to heated discussions between two camps. One camp, the faithful supporters and athletes who understand the level of sacrifice and effort female athletes have to put into their sport, often with more obstacles in their way than their male counterparts. But not only that, they also understand that it takes investment to elevate the game. The other camp sits on the argument of simple economics. You don't attract the same crowds, television, and sponsorship deals, so why would you get paid the same? But is it really about equal pay? And what do we mean by that term? This is the one where we don't deserve equal pay. Please join the conversation by using hashtag WePlayStrong and be sure to subscribe to the football podcast and leave us a review. My name is Hehakaija and I am your host. Please let me introduce to you our lovely guests. They are both Danish superstars and a huge inspiration on and off the pitch. First up, she plays for Paris Saint-Germain and is a force to be reckoned with. Welcome back, Nadia Nadim.
Hello, guys.
Hey, yeah. Our second guest is the other Danish superstar, won the trophy for UEFA Best Player of the Year twice, is now playing for Chelsea, and it's so good to have you here. Welcome, Pernille Harder.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Hello.
My first question for the both of you, and Nadia, you may kick this conversation off, is can you explain why we are so far behind in comparison to the men's game?
Football or sports in general is a mirror of the society. You know, it's not only sports, but if you look how far we are in terms of, as we say, equal pay, having leaders in like the high post in the society, it's because women or we just got our rights not so many years ago. You know, the right for voting, the right to be able to work the same jobs as the men's do. So I think it's something we started late. We started late compared to when the men start playing football. And then for me, like when you start comparing, like why are we not playing the same level, why are we doing this way while the men are doing that way, for me that's stupid because they've started like ages ago and we just literally right just started, you know. And then for me, I always say quality takes time, and I think we're on the right path. People just have to open their eyes and understand that it's not going to going to happen overnight.
I agree with Nadia. It's a lot about the structure and the society, how it has been for so many years that the women have been in the kitchen and doing stuff like this when the men have been out doing the physical things. And then suddenly, women also wants to do these things, and it just have to change the mindset, and it takes longer time for some people than others.
Yeah, and how important is it that people know about this history of women's football in order to understand that inequality?
I mean, it's always important to understand why things are the way they are. Also to maybe understand why we want more and why we're not happy with the way it is. So I think it's always important to understand things. Yeah.
Yeah, to know where it all comes from. Nadia, how is that for you? Why do you think it's important for people to understand that the history about women's football, or do we just have to focus on the now?
No, definitely. You need to know like where you came from, you know, to find your own identity. It's important for you to know where it all started. You have to appreciate the people who started, the women who went, you know, took the first step. And also in terms of, you know, we were talking about that, you know, we were so far away and some place around the world women are not even allowed to do sports yet, you know. So imagine, you know, and when you see teams like Thailand during the World Cup, you know, yes, you know there's a huge difference in like the level among the women's as well. But the countries who got to start like football or sports earlier are so far away from the ones who just started now. So this is like a comparison of, what we just talked about, like the men's, because these people have been doing this for ages, and then the teams, women's teams who just started maybe, I don't know, 100 years ago to play, are like have achieved so much in really short time. And for me, again, I think it's important that everyone obviously has the opportunity, the having access to the game. But secondly, it's important to know where you come from and how women change the game, through history, so we can kind of do it other places as well.
Yeah, yeah, because the funny like this fact about history is that at the beginning of the 20th century, women's football was hugely popular. So throughout like the 1910s and 1920s, women's football games in Britain drew like tens of thousands of spectators. I mean, this is crazy. They had about 53,000 people with even 14,000 people standing outside, and this was all during the First World War, where a lot of women were emerging from their homes to enter the factories and, well, joining football teams. And when the men came back, well, to be in short, it was banned. So it's so crazy to know that that it was very popular, but then they also banned it in order to give the men space to play football. I mean, that's crazy, right?
This is like kind of like, we know it's, a bit like, oh, we don't have entertainment, the men's are not here, let them play because it's entertainment, and then when the guys are coming back, they're like, no, it's okay, we don't need you anymore. It's stupid, man. I don't get it, but it
It's
is what
so
it is.
weird.
Mm.
Hey, and the discussion about equal pay almost always leads to an emotional discussion, and it has become a polarized debate. Like I just said, you've got the one camp, and then you've got the other camp. Why do you think that this is the case? I mean, why do you think people act so emotional, Nadia?
Honestly, I don't understand the emotions, because it's a really open debate. Well, I can't understand it from our point of view, because what we're trying to achieve is not really understood, but I don't get emotional by it. Let me just be clear. I think, like, we have our point of view, and I think for me, obviously, equal pay is the goal. But for me, most important is like equal access or equal rights, first of foremost.
Yeah, I think it's sometimes a little bit understood that when I say I want equal pay, that I want the same as Ronaldo from tomorrow. I mean, it's not really like this. We have to start at some point, and it's like what Nadia said. We want the same facilities, the same opportunities. That's equality for me. When people have the same opportunities to succeed, and of course, like we can work through to have the same salaries as the men, but the gap is so huge now. So it's not that what we ask for at the moment. We want equal opportunities. And then of course it's also about respect, that we get the respect we earn from what we are doing every day. And just that maybe a salary that can make us live from it, that all the women's players who's playing now, that it's not just the top of the women's players who actually get salaries where they can live some years after their football on it and have some kind of security. It's not that we have to earn like millions a week.
No, no, I understand where you're coming from, and you just signed, or well, just already a little while ago, you signed a record-breaking deal with your new club, Chelsea. How do you feel about that? Because you are one of these, I think, top elite players. Does it bring any extra pressure?
I mean, some labels like this always bring some kind of pressure, but I see it more as like a start for something new in women's football. That it can also be some kind of business for clubs to buy and sell players. So I see it more like that. That I hope that this is some start of something new.
Yeah, because if we would focus on the positive changes that we've had in the past, maybe 2 to 5 years, what comes to your mind? Like, what are examples of the progress that we're making within equality?
I mean, I think more men's teams are getting a women's team. I think there were more teams that are professional around Europe and the world, that makes more women's player to live professional and get these facilities that they need to perform at the highest level. I think that's what you see now, and you also see that the level is higher now in more clubs. It's not like, I think, this year's Champions League, when you see the teams in that, I feel like almost all the teams can win it, and that's something special. And the way it has developed, but there's still a long way to go. I think, when you talk about equality.
Yeah, definitely. And Nadia, do you have any like examples of those positive changes that you have witnessed or have experienced the last years?
Yeah, definitely. I think, as we kind of spoke about it, I think we are in this, development of women's game in terms of finances. I think when Pernille signed the contract, it was a huge thing. But also, like, if you go a couple of years back, when Ramona signed to Wolfsburg, that was a huge, like, record breaking. I think this is going to happen slowly, in a couple of years. There's going to be other players who are going to sign huge, contracts. It's just because there's coming, investments and money in the game. You see, like, you see grand big sponsorship deals with UEFA, FIFA. And I think for me, this is just the natural development, the next step. So we are moving in the right path, but obviously sometimes it looks really, really slow. Again, if you compare to the men's game, but if you only looked on the women's football, I think it's been happening a lot of big steps. And again, we've been talking about the tournaments, World Cup 2019, or before that, the Euros. Every time you see, like, there's a huge jump almost in the level of the game. Every time the teams are getting better, the games are closer. And the reason is, it's because the women's teams are getting more professional, and that's because there's more investment in it. And I know it sounds wrong when you talk about, like, professionalism or level and money, but we just have to be realistic. If you want to have elite footballers who can train 2 times a day, 7 days a week, they need to be able to live off football. And the more clubs that are able to do that, the better players we're going to have, and the better level of football you're going to have. It's just common sense. And I think you see that more and more every time there's Champions League, there's the World Cup, Euros, and so on.
It's also about the youth, when for boys and girls, that there are the same opportunities in a early age, because that's where the kids, they really get educated in football. So already at that point, there is such a big different inequality. There is no equality, at least not when I was young. I don't know if it's changed a lot, but I don't think so. You see a lot of good academies for boys, but you don't see that for the girls, and that's where it all starts. And I think that there is a big potential there. Imagine if all the girls got the same opportunities as the boys. For me, it's like, if you put all the boys in the best schools, of course they will get a better graduation than the girls. I think there is a big inequality if you look at the boys and girls. I think a lot of girls teams get parents as coaches. It's not bad. It's really nice. But if you look at the education of football, then it is better to get the best coaches, obviously. So you learn a lot about football in an early age.
That's true.
Mic drop. How was that for you growing up? Did you feel like, I think the answer is yes, but how did you feel that inequality as a girl growing up and dreaming of becoming a professional football player?
Yeah, I felt I felt the inequality. Where I come from, there is the perfect facilities for boys football academies and everything, but there were no girls academy. So yeah, I kind of myself had to find out how to get the best training, or how to, yeah, I was driving hours to get to the club training. And yeah, there's nothing that's a given for girls. You have to work for it yourself.
Yeah, you just have to put that extra effort in, and yeah, I do see it as well. Where we you kind of you get more academies for girls, and you do see some of the clubs trying to invest in the the development of the youth. So these are all positive changes. So that is nice, but again, still a very long way to go. So just to give you some of the examples of how of these positive changes and of the fight that some of the women and some of the clubs are having, is that the U.S. women's team with their lawsuit against the U.S. soccer, I think we all know that one. Of course, Ada Hegerberg against the Norwegian Football Federation, and you, both of you, took action towards your federation, and just the list goes on, and sometimes with success. And for example, the Brazilian Football Federation agreed to pay the women's national team players the same as their peers on the men's side. And there's so much more that we could mention. But I know that you both also took action against your federation. Nadia, can you explain a little bit on how that went and why you all did that?
Yeah, it was a fight for equal rights. We wanted to be able to have the same opportunities, same facilities, be treated as the men's, as players who the federation is proud of, and then try to protect us as much as possible. When it came to being able to have a pension, when it came to injuries, being proper like insured, training on decent grounds. Flying back from, I was playing in the US, flying back from the States, not spending 2 days on a travel, you know literally basic stuff that I would say would be given for any employee to have. Basic rights. That's what we were fighting for. Not necessarily about, it wasn't really about the money, which I think at the beginning people were thinking that's it's about the money. I couldn't really care less about it at that point. For me, I think you have to be realistic, and you have to take steps, step by step. And our first step was obviously to have the same opportunities and be treated the same way, not necessarily in terms of finances, but in terms of how they look upon us. Okay, these are valuable assets, players, let us protect them, let them make sure that if they get injured they get the proper treatment. So that was it. And it was a harder struggle than I thought it was going to be, and obviously that cost us the World Cup qualification, which still sucks and hurts, but I think it was a fight that we had to take. And I think it wasn't only for us, but the future generations, the girl coming after us. We took the first step, and hopefully this is going to be the basis for something to build on later on.
Yeah. Yeah, because Pernille, can you explain like what change happened after you all as a team stood up to your federation?
I think the way the federation looked at us, I think there was a lot of changes in the federation, new people coming in, and more football people who also values the women's side. And I think that was the biggest change actually, because we felt valued, and we felt like they really wanted us. They wanted us to succeed, like genuine. And I think that was the big difference from before the conflict and to after. And of course also the facilities we then got afterwards. So yeah, I think that was the biggest changes.
And are you happy now with how the things are going and the terms at the federation?
I think it's such a big difference. I feel like we are more like a unit with the federation and the men's side, and the way where we want to go. Also, we want to go together. It's not like there is a men's national team and the women's national team. I feel we get more unit now, and that's so important, especially for us to feel like we are part of the Danish federation, and they really want us. And yeah, I think the way they have been treated us the last few years has been different. But we still want more. We are not 100% equal yet with the men's in terms of facilities. So we are still fighting for every single thing we can fight for.
How would you advise players to speak up about this with their clubs or with their federations? Could you give them advice on how you did that?
I mean, it's mostly important that you do it together. you have to all be in it. Of course, I would not advise to get all the way to a conflict like we did. I think we all wanted to avoid that. But if there is something you want, if you want to change, you have to stand up together to do it.
If you want to change, you want to bring the change, you have to speak up. You have to, you have to target or address the issue, address the elephant in the room, because
Yeah.
nothing's going to come if you just sit down and you're like, oh, we are so unhappy, but you're not really doing anything about it. So first of all, yeah, take that step. And it might be hard, it might, has it consequences as it did for us. But sometimes you have to sacrifice a bit to gain something. Just a part of life, I guess. And yeah, the changes we've happening right now are really visible. And I think it's pretty cool to see. And as again, I think we're on the right path. We're not there yet, but this is gonna be huge for the generation after us.
Can you remember a moment when you were confronted with inequality as a female athlete, Nadia?
Listen, I've, this happened all my life. I'm telling you. And Pernille was talking about when she was young, that she couldn't have academy she could play. When I was young, I couldn't even play football because of who I am. And I think again, when it comes to equality, what I fight for is not only for the teams like us in Europe and the US, where the fight is, we're fighting of obviously equal pay, getting better facilities. My fight has always been having the right to play football, and you asking about inequality. Literally, I would say all my life, and sometimes obviously it's been because I was a girl. Sometimes it was been because of the way I look, whatever. But I couldn't really do much about it besides just trying to do my best. It's again, it is what it is, and I'm working to bring a change slowly. I think it's happening everywhere I go. Um, so I might not be, you know, experiencing the goods right now, but I'm pretty sure that the people after me are gonna feel different about it. So
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you came a very long way by just having that mindset. So, I mean,
true.
you know how I feel about that, and
You
you
know,
know how
I know
everybody
you love
feels
me.
about
I know you love me.
it.
The naughty affair. Just say it. Rocky, say it. Say you love me.
I think you already have changed a lot. I mean, your story is inspiring, and I think a lot of people look your way. That's for sure.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You both stand up for equality. Can you explain why you're doing that and how you're doing that, Nadia?
I always say I hate when things are unfair, and I don't really understand why there's such a huge difference in between how we are getting treated on the field, off the field, just because we have a different sex. When it comes to football or any kind of sports. So I don't really understand that, and the way I try to change it is by educating and speaking about the issue. And for me, mostly, I think the people who are really against this are the ones who are ignorant towards the issue or do not understand that all humans have rights, and so the way I can do it is obviously be a good example, walking, and like being one of the first ones, and also talking about this. That's why I do stuff like this after training, because I think it's important to raise awareness, and also someone has to do it, and I think we are obligated, because of our platforms, because when we speak people do listen, and because when you talk about it and there's more people talking about the issue, I think is going to apply pressure on UEFA, FIFA, clubs, governments who do stand with the power to do the changes. So
Yeah, in the same way as Nadia, I feel like that everyone should have the opportunities to succeed in life. That's no matter if you what sex you have, what religion you have, what race or what skin color you have, and that's something that I'm really like what can I say like passionate about. That I want to fight for these things and I want to speak up when I have the opportunity. And I also think that now when we have a platform where people listen to us and we can actually make a change, I think it's also, yeah, like obligation to do it, like Nadia said, and I'm also doing it because I want to. I think I think it's important to be able to make the changes where you can and make the world a better place. And if we don't say anything, nothing will happen. If you want to make the change the mindset of the decision makers, then we have to speak up, and they have to, yeah, to see us, that we are not satisfied. If we just go around and feel like we are treated unequal, then and we don't do anything about it, then nothing will happen. We have to speak up.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you're not only speaking up, you're also taking action, the both of you. So I think that is amazing and so important. You both have played for different teams, different countries. Do you see a difference of equality at the clubs that you've played with, Pernille, and how is that?
Yeah, I think from Sweden to Germany, there was a big step uh, in um, in the equality. The facilities around the team, it was much more professional when I came to Wolfsburg. Just in terms of treat the physios and the coaches, and that we had our own pitch and stuff like this. But then again, when I went from Wolfsburg to Chelsea, I see actually one step up again. I think Chelsea's women's team looks a lot. What can you say? Like they look at the men's team. How are the men's team doing it? How are they set up in everything they do? Then maybe we don't have 10 pitches our own. We have maybe two or three, and we might not have 10 physios, but we have three physios. But the setup, they try to do it the same way. So yeah, I think that's good, and that's also what how we can benefit from the men's game. That we try to do the way they're doing it, and try to what can I say, like strive to do it in the same way.
Mm.
Yeah. So you every time you changed the club, you kind of felt like you went a level up within facilities and all of those things.
Yeah, I did. Not to say that in Wolfsburg it was also really good. I won't say anything bad about that, because we also had a lot of good things around the team, and yeah. But I just think that, yeah, that Chelsea was one step up again.
Yeah,
Mm.
and I think it's another club, it's another club culture. So yeah, okay. Hey, and Nadia, how was that for you? Because you played Denmark, the United States of America, England, France.
Everywhere.
Every, where haven't you played?
Seriously. Yeah, I mean, obviously, one thing is, the bigger clubs are, the bigger the nation, the bigger the national teams, women's national teams are, the better, like, the facilities, the better the professionalism is around the football. So I experienced the same way. I've been in really great leagues, and I've seen that, as I said, the more the women's football is acknowledged and respected, the better is everything around it in the club that I've been. In the States, obviously that was crazy, because the women's national team there are, like, rock stars. The players are loved. You see them everywhere. And then the teams, the clubs, they do the best to have the everything they need. And then, Pernille was talking about that every time she changed the club, she would experience a higher level. And I think also you have to think this happened over time. So I think we are also slowly moving towards that. That because it's been, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years. With time, everything's gonna get better. That's just natural. I think we are in this development where we're moving in the right way. Obviously, Corona came in a really unfortunate time, and I hope that it's not gonna affect the women's game like crazy much. I know it's gonna affect it, definitely will, but I hope that it's not gonna affect it, so we don't have to start like really far back again. Because I know that big clubs like Chelsea, PSG, Lyon, the players are not gonna really get affected the same way, but little clubs where they just, maybe where the players are starting to have semi contracts, full time contracts, trying to live off football. I think some of the clubs might get affected because of, yeah, lack of money. And you
Yeah.
see it in clubs in Germany, the men's teams, second division. So if the men's teams are getting affected, pretty sure that the women's team are gonna be the first teams that are gonna, you know, get sacked.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. No, I totally agree. And this is something we couldn't foresee.
no.
And I mean, where could women's football be if all of the clubs would have this investment, this space to invest in the women's teams?
Oh wow, that's a big question.
Yeah,
Wow,
it's a really big.
that's for me, we've been speaking about this. I think it's the mindset. It's the mindset in the society. You have to understand that. Listen, just respect that there are some women who wants to play sports, do sports, and they're really good at it. If you don't like it, don't watch it, because I think, like, the ones having a really, locked or closed mindset that I don't want to watch it, and they've never seen a football game, and then they see it on TV because of the World Cup, and they're like, wow, this is amazing. I think from the beginning, if you have an open mindset and you see this, because if there's interest from the society's part, the investment are gonna flow in. That's just how finances work. That's how money, if there's an interest, TV interest, wherever, and people watching it, the money is gonna come. And I think for me, where it should start is trying to change the mindset. Not trying to, like, well, we need to find investments. No, try to change the mindset in the society. Like, be open minded about it, and then I think everything else is gonna just come slowly.
Yeah, well said. And Pernilla, what would you think about that? If all of that if all the investment would go to the women's football teams, because for example, if you look at Liverpool, their men's team is insane, but their women's team has just, I mean, last season, went to division lower. Yeah, what would you think if that would be the case, if all of these clubs would invest into that women's football?
I mean, I think of course, the quality will get even higher. I think if you see where we are now, without equality, without teams investing 100% in women's football, I think we have come far. So if you could imagine that everyone would invest in women's football, from youth to senior, I think the quality will be amazing. And then I also think that the people who tell us that women's football is not the same level, I think they will not be able to say that. But yeah, it's difficult to say what comes first. But
Yeah.
I totally agree that if everyone in the world would be open minded, then it would be a really nice world to live in.
Yeah,
uh, and
in so many
sometimes,
ways.
yeah, sometimes I don't understand why people are not open minded. Why not try to see it from other perspectives, instead of just from your own? But yeah, that
That's
would
ignorance. That's called ignorance.
that's called ignorance. And
Basically,
why do we have that in the world?
because, yeah, I don't want to say
Yeah.
it, but
Big question. Big
and
question, Pernilla.
lack of education.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Hey, and Pernilla, do you think that the men's game is taking away space for the growth of the women's game?
Um, nah, I don't think so. Actually, I think we can benefit from it. You see, it's the men's teams that invest in the women's teams. I think we actually can benefit from the men's also, because the men's football is so high. It's like it's huge, and we always want to go there. We want to strive to be the same. So women's football has a big potential, I think. Um, so I actually don't think so. What do you think, Nadia?
No, I think that that'll be wrong to say. I think we're talking about inequality, and then it'll be weird for us to say no, they cannot be as big as they are, because then you're kind of doing reverse. So I think that's just not right. I'm searching for equality, not just because I'm a girl, like just because I'm a human being. I want the same rights for everyone, women, boys also. I don't want it's only be for us. That's not what we want. So no, I don't think that men's football is taking away the space. I think they have the right to play, and I think how far they've reached is because they've worked for it, and but also because they've given the chance. Now we want the same chance. That's it, and I don't want to take it away from them to give it for us. That doesn't make any sense in my world. That's not how it is. That's not fair. So.
No, that it's definitely not fair. No, well said. And last question: what change can you, as a player, make in this battle of equality?
I think it's just to like raise the flag, like yeah, speak up together. No changes will happen if we don't do anything. So it's about speaking up, using our platform, try to change the perception from the decision makers, I guess.
Mm.
Yeah, you've already done it, so it definitely works. And for you, Nadia?
Yeah, one thing is obviously speaking up, using your platform. Secondly, obviously, I think it's important to kick ass on the field. Show them that they're wrong. The perception of women's football, that this image they have without even having watched the game, that's wrong. And being obviously professional on the field, trying to be the best version of yourself, and yeah, entertain them. I think that's the way to do it. The better football players, the higher level and the more interest is going to create, and then at the end, more investments. So that's how you create a change. Be good football players. Simple.
Awesome. We're gonna play the game She Said What, and I've got 5 quotes about equality, and you have to guess from who the quotes are.
Oh,
Oh,
So
wow.
I'm so
I'm gonna
bad at stuff like this, but okay.
well, I'm gonna help you out. So first of all, they are all female footballers, so that's
Okay.
No.
one thing. Well, it's not going to be ignorant men or like
Yeah.
other people like having these quotes. So we're just going to start off, and when I'm ready, you can just call out her name if you know it, and if you're not, I will definitely give some tips.
Oh wow.
So okay, all right, here we go. The first one. If we were under the men's contract, we'd be making 3 times more.
Mega Rapinoe.
Wow, that's quick.
Was it right?
You're right. Yeah, that's correct. Congratulations,
Thank you.
Nadia.
Thank you.
Megan Rapinoe. Okay,
Okay.
cool. Oh, hey, Pernille, you see me? She's on fire. She's on fire.
Yeah.
Okay, another one. Look at some. Oh, first of all, this one is difficult, so I have to like be honest. This one is
Oh.
difficult.
Okay.
Look
Okay.
at some of the salaries in the men's game. You're talking 100 to 200K a week. How can the women's game justify that when we've got 3,000 to 5,000 people in the stands?
Ooh, that's a hard one. Is it an English national team player?
It's an English manager.
English manager.
Yeah.
Casey Stoney.
Uh,
Oh
Is
my
it?
God, Nadia! That's true.
I spoke to her and something I could imagine her saying, because I think she's brilliant. So cool.
Cool. Okay. Okay. Come on, Pernilla. We've got
Yeah,
3 to go.
We'll do
okay.
better. Do better.
This is not my
All
thing
right.
to guess
Oh,
what
it's
people say.
okay. That's okay. Okay. Here we go. It's not always about money. It's about attitude and respect.
Uh,
Come with a guess.
who could say it? Nadia Nadim.
Elite,
Oh, that's a good one. Close.
elite
um,
player. Elite player.
Alex Alex Morgan.
No, she plays in Europe.
I would
Is she
say, go ahead.
is she from Europe? Okay.
Scandinavian country as well.
Scandinavia.
Edinburgh! Edda! I gave you the chance, bro. You couldn't. I was waiting.
Ada Hegerberg.
Okay.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah. Okay,
okay,
Pernille,
okay.
Can
another
we
one.
just like make a like extra clip? Like we pretend that I say one.
Okay. I'm just
Okay, here comes the quote. Nowadays, we're fighting for equality, especially in terms of pay, which is great. But in other parts of the world, women and girls are not even allowed to touch a pee pee ball.
That must be Nadia Nadim.
Yes!
well
Great!
done.
Oh,
Well done. Well done.
yes, score, Pernille. Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got one more left. I'm gonna give already like her nationality. She's from England. We need to grow the women's game, and then you can talk about equal pay.
Jill Scott.
Steph Houghton. Is she playing?
She plays in your team.
My team.
Oh.
Okay. Frank Kirby.
Frank Kirby. Yeah,
Ah, nice.
cool.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. Well, congratulations, Nadia, but also congratulations to you, Pernille. You did a
Thank
really,
you.
really good job.
Thank you.
Well done.
Yeah. Okay. We've learned that the debate about equal pay is not just about money. It's about equitable pay and equal opportunity to overcome the huge backlog women's football is experiencing. We're making steps forward, but so much still needs to be done to raise more equality on all different levels. We hope you've enjoyed it. Make sure to join the conversation by using hashtag WePlayStrong, subscribe, comment, and share. Let us know what you think of our podcast, and while you're at it, tell all of your friends to come and check us out. Thanks for being with us today, Nadia, and a special thanks to you, Pernilla. It was lovely to have you here.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
And thanks for listening, and stay tuned for our next episodes. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.